Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, bringing you some of the best college football news, predictions, and analysis. Make sure you hit that like button, go follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Gridiron Expert, and of course, check out our official website, thegridironexpert.com, where you can sign up for our expert picks, which will be coming out this Wednesday, and also sign up for our weekly newsletter. Our Week 6 newsletter will be coming out tomorrow, so do not miss out on any of this extra college football content. The links for all those things are in the description below. Well, we said in our Week 5 recap that Week 5 of college football was not the most exciting. There weren't that many thrilling games, and only 4 teams in the top 25 went down. 2 of those came in ranked versus ranked matchups. And because it was not that exciting, it shows here in this Week 6 AP Top 25, there aren't that many changes. There aren't that many huge shakeups that we've seen in previous weeks. But of course, we're here to break it down all for you. We're going to share if we agree or disagree with these rankings and point out some things to keep your eye on as we inch closer and closer to a brand new week of college football, the halfway point of college football. It's hard to believe we're already halfway through this 2019 season. But we're going to jump right into the rankings, and it's pretty obvious. There is one major shakeup. We have a new number 1. We have a new number 1 team in the country, and that, of course, is the Alabama Crimson Tide, jumping Clemson, who had been number 1 since the beginning of the season, but the Tigers struggled on the road this past Saturday, only beating North Carolina and Mack Brown 21-20. Needed a stop on North Carolina's 2-point conversion to escape Chapel Hill with that game. They don't stop them there. Clemson could have gone down to the Tar Heels and maybe been the biggest upset of the 2019 season. I don't think many people expected North Carolina to give the Tigers such a fight, but give credit to the Tar Heels and what Mack Brown is building there. Even though they have a losing record right now, obviously drastic signs of improvement when you can take the number 1 team in the country down to the wire like that. So Clemson dropped from number 1 to number 2. Alabama dropped from number 2 to number 1. And I guess I agree with that. Alabama has looked extremely dominant, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Tua Tagovailoa setting Alabama records left and right in their win against Ole Miss. Same for Devontae Smith as well. But they did allow 31 points to Ole Miss. It was a 59-31 victory. So yeah, they blew out the Rebels. But they did allow 31 points in Tuscaloosa to a struggling Rebels team, where I know Georgia did not play, I know LSU did not play, but Ohio State went on the road and annihilated Nebraska 48-7. To me, I feel like Ohio State deserved a little more respect. I know maybe some people couldn't justify putting them above Georgia. Some couldn't justify putting them above Clemson, because I know Nebraska wasn't ranked. I know for many, and clearly they are overrated. They did not live up to the hype and certainly are ways away from getting to the point of national relevancy again under Scott Frost. But Ohio State staying at 4, moving up just 1 spot up to number 4, while LSU dropped to 5th. Alabama claiming the number 1 spot. I feel like the Buckeyes, while they're in the top 4, that's great. They deserve to be there. Maybe could have been a little bit higher. We mentioned LSU at 5, and then the rest really did not change. Notre Dame moved up 1 spot from 10th to 9th after their 15-point victory over Virginia, a game in which they had 8 sacks. 8 sacks in 1 game against the Cavaliers. So rightfully so, the defense and the running game stepping up for Notre Dame, move up from 10th to 9th. Florida dropping down from 9th to 10th. But we'll have a huge ranked versus ranked matchup on Saturday as number 7 Auburn travels to the Swamp to take on the 10th ranked Gators. So that's obviously going to be, in case you couldn't figure it out, that's going to be our game of the week, which will be coming out on Wednesday. So don't miss that extra analysis on Florida and Auburn, because that's going to be a huge, huge game for both teams, trying to add, Auburn especially, trying to add to that very impressive resume and trying to make a run towards the college football playoff. So looking across the board, the majority of the ranking shifts, the majority of the shakeups actually happened from about 15th to 25th. Weren't many changes, minor shifts here and there. A new number 1 is a pretty big deal, but not that many minor or big shifts until you hit about 15. Washington moved up just a few spots after their win over USC. The Trojans obviously have dropped out of the top 25 following that 14-point loss. The biggest mover, though, was Central Florida. And the Knights only beat UConn. They annihilated them. It wasn't an impressive win, but it wasn't like it's not a huge win. UConn's very, very bad, guys. We all know that. But the Knights moving up from 22nd to 18th, once again behind another dominant offensive performance. So right now, the gap between the top two Power Fives or Group of Five schools, Boise State and UCF, is very slim. Only one team separates them in the rankings. And that's, of course, being Utah, sitting at number 17 after an impressive win, I should add, over Washington State, 38-13. So UCF was the biggest mover in terms of going up. Virginia was the biggest team that dropped, going from 18th to 23rd, dropping 5 spots following that loss to Notre Dame that we mentioned. They were just no match for Notre Dame's defensive line. Now, they actually led at halftime, 17-14. But Brian Kelly went in there, made the adjustments. Notre Dame came alive on both sides of the ball, ended up coming away with a huge resume-boosting win over a quality Virginia team. So once again, not many shifts there. I will say that the biggest thing that caught my eye were the fact that we have 4 brand new teams in this set of top 25. We have 4 teams that were not in the top 25 last week that came in. We knew that California, who lost to Arizona State, USC, who lost to Washington, and Kansas State, who lost to Oklahoma State, all 3 of those teams dropped out. So then, of course, someone had to come in and take their place. Well, it starts up here with number 20, Arizona State, and works its way down. Take a look at 20th through 22nd here. Arizona State, after beating Cal, the last remaining undefeated team in the Pac-12, on the road, jumped from unranked to 20th. Very well deserved. They were in the rankings just a couple weeks ago after that win over Michigan State, but then fell to Colorado, which put them back out. But Arizona State, Herm Edwards on the right track, number 20 in the country. Oklahoma State, behind 296 rushing yards from Chuba Hubbard, jumps from unranked to 21st after that win over Kansas State, who, despite the loss, is still a very dangerous team in the Big 12. I do want to throw that out there. I just don't know many teams that can shut down Chuba Hubbard right now. And then number 22, Wake Forest, and they rightfully deserve to be in the top 25, sitting at 5-0, guys. 5-0 for Dave Clawson and the Demon Deacons, and their schedule is very, very favorable that they could be sitting at 9-0 when they face off against Clemson on November 16th. That's, of course, if everything goes their way, but Jamie Newman's playing extremely well. The defense is playing well. Yeah, a lot of their games have been close. We know the game against Utah State was close. Last week against Boston College was a close one. So Wake Forest hasn't necessarily been blowing teams out of the water. But look, it doesn't matter. A win's a win. They're 5-0, and you better watch out for the Demon Deacons in the ACC. And then the last newcomer here is 24 SMU, a team that I thought should have been in the top 25 last week. They beat TCU in week 4. They were number 25 in the country, went on the road and defeated the Horned Frogs. Already had impressive win over Arkansas State in week 1, and then another blowout win over North Texas, who, of course, has Mason Fine, a very talented offense, even though the team as a whole is not doing too well. So I thought SMU should maybe have gone into the top 25 last week. But now they're cracking the top 25 at number 24 after starting 5-0 just last week, annihilating South Florida on the road. So watch out for Sonny Dykes, guys. We talk so much about Boise State and UCF and maybe Memphis and guys like that, but SMU is a legitimate contender to compete for that Group of 5 spot in a New Year's 6 bowl game. So watch out for the Mustangs out of the American Athletic. They are looking really, really good. Conference breakdown, it's about the same. Every now and then you might have a team that loses a team, maybe gains a team. The SEC and Big Ten are once again tied at 6 apiece. 6 representatives from each conference in this set of top 25 rankings. But as you can see, again, the SEC dominates when it comes to top 10 teams. Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Auburn, Florida. Half of the top 10 is from the SEC. 50% of the top 10 come from the Southeastern Conference. It's unbelievable, guys, the dominance that the SEC has right now. Yes, you can look at bad teams out there, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Kentucky struggling, South Carolina struggling, even though they beat Kentucky. We get it, but still, the numbers and the stats and the rankings speak for themselves when you look at these conferences. The Pac-12 comes in at 3rd or tied, or really 2nd if you want to consider them a tie for 1st with the SEC and Big Ten. Pac-12 has 4, Big 12 has 3, ACC has 3, the Group of 5 now has 3 with the addition of SMU, and the Independents, of course, with Notre Dame have 1. And of course, you can see here, I'm not going to go into it again. I'm not a fan of ties. I'm not a fan of the rankings having ties. So really, this is your top 26 because the AP poll has a tie there between Texas A&M and Michigan State. Michigan State in there, of course, because that will be a top 25 showdown between the Spartans and the Buckeyes, number 25 versus number 4. Texas A&M still in there because despite narrowly beating Arkansas and having a bye week this week, A&M has a game against Alabama in Week 7, and they need to keep A&M in there because a top 25 matchup between the Aggies and the Crimson Tide will look much more appealing. So that's, in my opinion, the only reason A&M is still in this top 25, even though they did drop 2 spots. Ranked versus ranked matchups to look out for. Of course, we're going to cover all of these in our Week 6 predictions, so don't miss out on that. Week 6 predictions comes out tomorrow along with our newsletter, but we will cover all of these. Number 14, Iowa, traveling to number 19, Michigan. Number 7, Auburn, traveling to number 10, Florida. We mentioned that, and that's, of course, our game of the week. We'll have that on our prediction video, plus a deeper analysis coming out on that on Wednesday. And then 25, Michigan State, traveling to face off against number 4, Ohio State. Can Michigan State's defense slow down Justin Fields and this Buckeyes offense? It's been unstoppable. They played a flawless game against Nebraska. Maybe many consider that to be the first test for Ohio State. I'd like to say now that Michigan State might be the legitimate first test for Ohio State. But with it being played at Ohio State, I expect the Buckeyes to take care of business once again. And then 3 teams to watch out for that could be on upset alert in Week 6. Just to conclude, Central Florida travels to Cincinnati. We knew coming into this season that we thought Cincinnati was the biggest threat to Central Florida in the American Athletic Conference. And they are looking very, very dangerous once again under Luke Fickell. So UCF already has a loss already to Pittsburgh. If they lose this game to Cincinnati, you can probably take them out of the New Year's 6 bowl game discussion. So watch out for that one being played on Friday night. Oklahoma State has to travel to Texas Tech. So make sure you watch out for that one. Texas Tech annihilated by Oklahoma. But maybe if they can perfect their tackling, they have a chance to win at home against the Cowboys. And then 15, Washington traveling to Stanford. Yes, they have not looked that impressive. We know that. Narrowly escaped Oregon State. Lost by 15 to Oregon a few weeks ago. But Stanford's a team, especially at Stanford, that you never want to underestimate. So despite the struggles that they've had so far this season, Washington has to keep their eyes open. They really cannot afford another loss in Pac-12 play, having already lost to California. And still having yet to play Oregon, which will be coming up here in a few weeks. So here's your new AP Top 25. Once again, not many changes. Couple discrepancies on our part, not too many. No huge shakeups in the top 10. Majority of the changes taking place from 15th through 25th. Huge ranked versus ranked matchups coming your way in Week 6. Couple upsets to watch out for. And we'll, of course, cover all of that through the rest of this week, leading up to Friday night when Week 6 officially gets underway. So do not miss out on any of that extra content. Get ready for another brand new week of college football. Thank you for watching us here on YouTube. Go follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Gridiron Expert. And also check out the website, thegridironexpert.com. Sign up for the expert picks. Sign up for the newsletter. And as always, thank you for watching. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.